Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this sales funnel guide, you're going to learn how to build a fully functioning sales funnel to sell your products or services for zero out of pocket, no 14-day or 30-day trials here, 100% free software and solutions. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful video links, including a link to MailerLite, which is the software we're going to be using to build your landing page, your sales page, and of course, send some automated emails, all using their free plan. So a link to the application to MailerLite below. And if you do decide to upgrade your account in the future, we will receive a small commission as a way to support this channel. Now, as we dive in here, I'm going to go through how to choose your lead magnet, some basic copywriting formulas, as well as figuring out your ideal customer profile, which is really the important stuff. But if you want to jump ahead because you already figured all that important stuff out and you just want to see how to build your funnel for free in MailerLite, go ahead and jump to this timestamp right here, and you'll jump straight into the part where we're going through MailerLite. Now, there is some bad news here when it comes to funnels, and I just got to rip the Band-Aid off because there's a lot of misinformation out there. Building the funnels, what you're about to do right now, that's the easy part. When it comes to actually figuring out the words and copy that's going to help persuade your ideal customers to actually pull out their credit cards and do business with you is a very long and arduous process. So please don't go into this with the expectation that you're going to be making a couple $100s next month. Those are few and far between, and most of the time it can take upwards of weeks, if not months, to start to see profitability with your funnels. And this is a temporary solution. I'm not saying that you're going to make thousands of dollars using this. This is great for your first couple hundred, maybe your first 1,000 or so, and then you're going to want to upgrade your software. Now, the good news, not trying to be too much of a Debbie Downer, is this is a proven process. You're going to be able to get up and running in a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon, and MailerLite is 100% free, and you're going to be able to send automated emails for free, something that some of the other solutions you may have seen, like free accounts with MailChimp or free accounts with ConvertKit, don't allow you to send automated emails on their free plan. MailerLite still does. Of course, if they ever change that, we will update in the pinned comment. Now, let's go ahead and go through the funnel structure. What exactly are we building here? Because a funnel is all it is a strategic process of taking a stranger and turning them into, hopefully, a happy customer. So the first stage of building your funnel is, of course, going to be at analyzing the market, just understanding who you're actually selling to. And this is going to be critical when it comes to creating your headlines for your landing page, as you'll see with some copywriting formulas. Then, of course, we're going to go through how to grab attention of those ideal customers and affirm their decision as becoming a lead. And then, of course, driving action, ultimately getting that sale. And so these are the four main stages that someone will go through in the buying process. They'll initially be a prospect. They don't really know who you are. They might see an ad or some content. They'll begin to become aware of your brand and join your audience. And then hopefully they enter their name and email and become a lead, and eventually, hopefully, a customer. So this diagram, timestamps, you can always come back to it. This is what we're ultimately going to build. Now, I'm going to skip the part where we talk about traffic and ads and content marketing because that's for a different time. Here, we're going to focus on building your landing page, what type of lead magnet you should be using. We're going to go through several ideas. Link in the description to a video that goes really in depth into those. We're going to build your sales page, your checkout page, and of course, talk about ways you can deliver digital content for free using some free plans like Teachable and Thinkific. And of course, Wave Accounting will actually be really helpful when it comes to your checkouts, especially if you are in services. And so we will go through each one of these steps super in depth. You can see the timestamp. This is a long video. And we're also going to go through all the automations you need to make sure that when someone enters their name and email, they automatically start receiving some emails to start the process of selling your product or service. And of course, everything comes down to who are you selling to, because all the fancy software in the world won't help if you don't have a clear picture of who you're ultimately trying to sell to. And so the first thing we need to do is to create a prospect profile. That is a quick rundown of who your ideal customer is. And there are lots of different ways to do this. So I'll link up in the cards in the description to a video that takes a super deep dive on this. We're going to 80-20 the process and just go and look at the three main questions. The last question here, what do they care about? We'll actually cover that when we go through the copywriting formula for your landing page. So here, all you want to do is figure out what are your ideal customers doing right now, because they have a problem that your product or service solves. And chances are your competitors are already solving that problem. Now, they might be a huge company like Amazon or Google, or they might be a small local business. So what you want to do is figure out where are people currently purchasing products or services that solve the same problems your product or service solves, and then where are they going to learn about your particular niche or industry. So just make a list of magazines and popular websites or popular influencers in your niche so you understand where their attention is, and then you also understand where they're currently going to get the results that they're looking for. Now, this next one I'll link up in the cards in the description to a much deeper dive, but you can use something like your Google Analytics if you already have a website. And if you don't, you can actually use the Facebook Audience Insights tool for free, and you'll be able to type in other company pages or influencers, and you'll be able to see a lot of information about what types of customers those businesses have, and you can literally just copy that for your own customer profile. So it's pretty much done for you customer research. Now, once you have a good understanding of who your ideal customer is, we're ready to grab their attention, because after all, we don't just want to try and get anyone to come to our sales funnel. We want to be specific to the people who are actually going to find value in your product or service. And for this particular part, we're going to create a lead magnet, we're going to create a squeeze page, and we're going to be writing some headlines. So again, timestamps below if you want to skip around. Here, we're going to talk about the lead magnet first before the landing page. And the reason we want to do that is simply because the lead magnet is really what's powering your funnel, because it's something valuable you're going to offer in exchange for collecting someone's contact information. After all, if we go back to our diagram, zoomed in here a little bit, you see we have our landing page and we want to collect their contact information so we can follow up with them via email and ultimately sell your product or service, right? But no one's going to want to enter their name and email on a landing page for no good reason. After all, no one wants to just type it in and say, yes, I'd love to join your newsletter and have you pitch products and services to me have you pitch products and services to me later with no value up front. So the lead magnet is what powers your landing page, and it's what gives people a reason to join your email list. So when it comes to creating your lead magnet, there are lots of different types, but what's most important, the way you make sure that it's actually valuable is it solves an immediate problem. So it doesn't need to be something super grandiose when it comes to how valuable it is. It just needs to solve an immediate problem, be very easy to use, and actually, this is a little counterintuitive, actually magnify the mess if someone doesn't take action on using your lead magnet. Now, there's some nuances in there because you want to make sure that your lead magnet doesn't hold things back, but at the same time, you want your lead magnet to be helpful and then show people, hey, you know what, this lead magnet's been very helpful, and if you don't continue your forward progress, here's all the things that are going to go wrong. That's going to make a lot more sense when we go through the rapport building sequence. You'll see how this lead magnet is really going to help set up your sales. So when it comes to lead magnets, what types of lead magnets could you create? I'm going to rapid fire through these. There's going to be a link in the cards and the description to a 30-minute video that takes a much deeper dive. So I'm a huge fan of using PDFs as lead magnets because they're very easy to put together. They're not going to take a huge amount of your time, and they can still be valuable enough to justify someone opting into your email list. So here we have an audit, a template, a report, or a resource guide. So an example of an audit would be our advanced analytics checklist. This was a 10-page document that we put together that helped people go through their Google Analytics account and essentially see all of the settings that needed to be changed or how their data was being incorrectly collected. Now, did we go into how to get into the data layer and start creating events? Well, of course not, because that would be way too complex and that would violate one of our rules, which is lead magnet needs to be easy to use. So we saved that for later in our sales process, and ultimately that was one of the problems that our analytics service solved. Now, the next example here is a template, and this is simply giving someone a simple process that they can go through that mirrors what you do, or it could be something that is almost done for them. So if you were in, let's say, the video editing niche, you could actually provide files that has some of your favorite filters or graphics in the form of a Adobe Premiere file, and this is also very popular with Instagrammers who like to sell the filters that they use on their photos. This next one is a report, and this is where you're just taking a bunch of information and quickly condensing it down. And if you're not interested in doing a bunch of analysis and research, then you can just think of some of the tools, products, or services that you use to help you in whatever your niche or industry is, and then create a resource list of all of those recommended tools or products. And of course, this is going to help your ideal customers skip all of that research because they can just get your recommendations and go straight to it. And if you are big into affiliate marketing, this is an excellent type of lead magnet because a lot of those links could be affiliate links. Now, if none of these PDFs seem to really catch your eye and they don't seem like they would be a good fit, then you can go ahead and create something like an Excel or Google Sheet tool, so a spreadsheet tool. Now, don't worry, you don't have to learn spreadsheets. You can go ahead and find a talented spreadsheet builder on Fiverr or Upwork for less than a couple $100s and build any one of these. So let's go ahead and rapid fire through some examples. So the first one we have here is a calculator, and it's exactly as it sounds. You're doing math for your ideal customer because almost nobody likes doing math. Our example here is a home building calculator, so someone could figure out how much their dream home might cost. The next type of spreadsheet you can create and offer as a lead magnet would be a planner. So something we've done in the past is we've offered a version of our own internal tool for planning YouTube content. So people who are bloggers or YouTubers, they can download our content calendar template, and it has different fields in there that's important to publishing and keeping up to date with your content, and then they can just follow our process for that. So we're making it very easy for them to follow a plan. Now, this next one is an organizer. Everyone should eventually talk about estate planning, although it is a kind of an awkward conversation depending upon which side of the planning you are on. But here, essentially, you're just creating something to help people organize all of their information. This is great if you're a type A personality and you tend to be very organized because not everyone is type A, right? So, and then the final one here would be a tracker, and this is just to help someone track their progress. Here we have a goals tracker. This could also be great if someone has to keep track of their calorie counting or their workouts, whatever someone needs to track in order to work towards a goal or result that they ultimately want. And so that does it for rapid fire different lead magnet ideas. Again, link in the cards and the description to a full-blown video that goes through each one of those in way more depth and goes through some other types of lead magnets and lots more examples as well. So hopefully you at least have an idea of what your lead magnet might be. You don't have to have it all ironed out right now. So now that you have your lead magnet, you're ready to look at your landing page or your squeeze page. So the only difference here between a squeeze page and a landing page is, in my humble opinion, is bullet points. We're just going to skip the bullet points for now so we can 80-20 the process and jump straight into building your funnel. So when it comes to your squeeze page, there is a simple design and copywriting framework you can follow called AIDA, and that stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. Now, because we're doing a because we're doing a squeeze page, we're actually going to skip the desire part, and we're just going to focus on the 3 out of the 4. You can always add in the desire element later. I'll link up in the cards in the description to videos that walk through in depth how to do landing page copywriting. So here's a mock-up of approximately the type of squeeze page we are going to be building. So as you can see at the top, we're going to have a headline and a subheadline. We're going to have some images, but we're going to skip the bullet points. I'm just leaving it here to let you know that in the future, would be where you would add those bullet points, and of course, a call to action. Now, before we jump into the copywriting framework, again, timestamps below to easily skip around and you can pause. We need to talk about what each one of these elements actually needs to do. Because when it comes to your landing page, it is all about your ideal customer. It is not about the lead magnet you've created, and it's not even about you or your company. It's about answering the question, is this for me, and what's in it for me, and how is this actually going to help me? Me being your prospect, your ideal customer. And so as you go through this process, you want to switch your focus from what you're delivering of value, what you think is important, to starting to put yourself in your customer's shoes, your prospect's shoes, to think about what they are looking for. Now, before we jump into the copywriting formula for the headline, I just want to quickly do a humble brag, show you inside of our live MailerLite account that these simple landing pages, these simple squeeze pages that we're about to put together do work. You do not need to have a overly designed, super fancy landing page or squeeze page in order to be successful with your funnel building. So that's why I'm showing you these numbers, to show you done is always better than perfect. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into your copywriting formulas. And to quickly create high converting headlines, you only need to answer 2 questions from the perspective, of course, of your ideal customer prospect. What results are they after, and what are their perceived roadblocks? And that's it. So this exercise might take anywhere from 20 all the way up to 40 minutes or an hour or more. If you're going more than an hour, then you're definitely overthinking it for a landing page or squeeze page here. So here's what all you need to do is, for your results and roadblocks, list out all of the results that your ideal customer or prospect is after, and then list out all the things that they think are getting in the way of achieving those results. So as an example, let's say we have for our sales funnel here, we're offering a YouTube growth course. And so we're going to make a landing page and lead magnet about how to be more successful creating YouTubes and growing a channel. And so the results and roadblocks would be representative of someone who's trying to bring their channel to a place where it could possibly replace some of their income or become their full-time gig. And so once you have these results and roadblocks, I think I've talked about them enough, then you can go ahead and use some simple copywriting formulas to actually transform these into high converting headlines. So we have 3 formulas here. We have how to result without roadblock, how to result even if roadblock, and then a little more advanced one that I really like, the mechanism, you'll see what mechanism means in a moment, that allowed me to result in or without roadblock. And so if we drop in some examples here, you can see how easy you can drop in results and roadblocks once you have a list. So all you need is a list of your results, your roadblocks, these 3 formulas, and you'll be able to plug and play. And when it comes to using these formulas and others, all you need to do is just do a giant brainstorm. Just write them all out, and then 1 or 2 will stand out to you as being, oh, you know what, I think those are actually good, and then you can move forward with those. So you definitely don't have to try and get it right on the first time, because this is a sales funnel and it's marketing, which means you're going to have to test it, and the first couple probably aren't going to be the best converting. And so that's all there is to it, to writing your headline. And with that, we are ready to create our squeeze page. So here's a mock-up of what our squeeze page is approximately going to look like. You can see it's very simple, but as you saw earlier, these pages do convert. And so if you want to take a deeper dive into the copywriting formulas you have available to you, as well as copy my entire process for putting together a sales funnel, I'll leave a link in the description to our sales funnel organizer, so you can click that link and check that out as we dive into creating your sales funnel. So here is the MailerLite part of the tutorial, where we are going to be building this squeeze page. Then we'll go through creating your Rapport Sequence, setting up your email automations, and of course your checkout and sales page. So let's go ahead, jump right in and build our landing page. So I'm inside MailerLite. Again, link in the description to apply for an account. And all you need to do is come up here to Sites once you're logged in. This is going to work on the free plan. So you'll go ahead and click on Sites, and then you're going to click on Create Landing Page. You can see we have a couple examples from some other tutorials that we're working on here. So you can go ahead and click on Create Landing Page, and then just give your landing page a name. So here I'm just going to name it F3 YouTube Growth Strategy, and that will let me know, keep things organized, because you're going to be making a lot of landing pages. So you'll see that we choose one name for our funnel, and we pretty much use that throughout all of MailerLite so that we don't get confused as to what's connected where, because it can get quite confusing. So we'll go ahead and save and continue. And then we're going to need an add a new group. So what MailerLite is asking us right now is saying, when someone enters their contact information, where do you want that information to go? So that's what we're telling them. So we'll go ahead and click on Add Group here, and then we'll give our group the exact same name we gave the landing page. That way we know someone enters their name and email on F3 YouTube Growth Strategy, they are added to group F3 YouTube Growth Strategy. So this is important for your emails. So we'll go ahead and click on Create. And then something that's a little different is now we have to scroll down and actually click to select it. So we'll go ahead and scroll down, click to select, and then we'll click on Save and Continue. and then you'll be able to choose a template. So when it comes to templates, there are a lot in here. If you see one you like, you can go ahead and go for it. But I like keeping things very simple, focused on the copy. And so I'm just going to select the book template here because I'm going to delete everything anyway. And it's going to take a while to load. So one of the little downsides here with using this free software is it can be a tad bit slow. I've tried this in multiple countries, and I've had multiple people on my team use this in their respective countries, and everyone seems to have it be a little slow at times. So just bear with it, and it will eventually load. And then I'm just going to quickly scroll down the page. You can see that all of these elements are actually editable. So you can change these to whatever images or text that you want. And then we're at the bottom here. So let's go ahead and scroll back to the top and just remove everything. So I'll come over here to Actions, and then I'm going to click on Remove Content, and then type to remove, because they really want to make sure you want to delete everything. So Scorched Earth, yes, let's do it, remove. And now we have a blank page to start with. So what we'll do is come over here and click on Blocks. And once we've clicked on blocks, we can click and drag these different elements onto our landing page. So I'm going to bring over 2 text elements, and then I'm going to scroll down here to sign up form, and I will add a sign up form. And those are all the elements that we're really going to need for this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on subscribe here. And as you see, when I click on the element, you'll begin to get the settings for that particular element over on the side. Now, I want to include a media image because I want to show a picture of the lead magnet just like you do. So we'll go ahead and include a image here, or I should say media, because we're not selecting image yet. And you can also drop in a video if you want, although I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at image. And of course you can change the position if you want it right or left. So I'm going to keep it on the left-hand side and then go ahead and click on save. And actually I forgot that you also need some disclaimer text at the bottom. So what we can do to add another element, if you don't want to click and drag blocks over, is you can come and click on any element that you want to add something below, and then you can go ahead and click on this plus button, and I'm going to select text, and now I have some text down here. So I'll go ahead and select the text, and then the settings for the text will show up. So I'm going to change the font style, right? So let's go ahead and change the font style. So I can click here and change it from Railway to, let's say, Arial, and then change the font size down because this is going to be disclaimer text and I don't want it to be super big like everything else. And then we can go ahead and click on save. And now that we have changed up our text styling, we can come in here and drop in your disclaimer text. So what's very important with your disclaimer text is you follow whatever legal guidelines you have to. I'm not giving you legal advice. The only thing I can say is that every advertising platform has their own terms of service, and it is copyright infringement if you just copy someone else's disclaimer text from their landing page. So that I can tell you. After that, we'll leave it up to the lawyers. Please don't take this as legal advice at all. So the next thing we're going to do is highlight our text, and we can actually bring it to the center. So we'll go ahead and center it a little bit here. Next, we're going to set up our contact form. So I'll go ahead and click on just anywhere in the area of the contact form to select it, and I'll click over here to form, and we're going to change the button text to access now instead of subscribe. Now, I really don't like how it's on one line, and really the only way to make sure that they stack is by adding another field. So here I'm going to come down, click on add another field, and you'll see that name automatically pops up. Now, if you want to collect other information, you can actually click the pencil icon, and then you're going to have a nice list of information you can collect. I highly recommend name, email is the absolute max you need. Most of the time you can just ask for the email because the more you ask for, the lower your conversions will ultimately be. You can also create custom fields, although I won't get into that because you have to do that in a different part of MailerLite. So we'll just go ahead and leave it at name, go ahead and save changes, and now we have our email and name. Oh, actually, one more thing. Let's put name at the top because that makes a little more sense. So now we have our name and our email and our button for access now. And let's say red probably isn't the best color for our button, but first let's go ahead and add an image of our lead magnet. So we can come over here and click on the pencil, and then we can go ahead and click on browse to select our lead magnet image. So I already have one here, so I'll go ahead and just hit on select, and then the image will be dropped in. And once the image is dropped in, if it's too big, you can always hit the pencil icon and you'll be able to change the scale. It's a good size for what we're looking for, so we'll go ahead and leave it alone. Now, if you want to change anything in the text styling of the form here, let's go ahead and click on name, and then we'll click on settings, and we can come down to input. So this is going to be where we're going to be able to change the font, and let's say we want it Arial for some reason, and then we can go ahead and increase the size to 18, and we'll go ahead and click on save. And of course, we want to change the button color because red is not a great color for a call to action button. Red means stop, green means go, right? So let's go ahead, click on our call to action button here, and let's go ahead and change the background color to green, and then we can go ahead and change the font. We'll just keep your fonts all the same. And of course, increase the font size a little bit, which will increase the button size. So the way you increase the button size is by increasing the font size. And then of course you can play with the spacing if you want. I'm going to go ahead and remove the spacing so there's not so much space between email and access now. So the next thing we want to do is come up here to hover and change the color that the button turns to when someone hovers over the button with their mouse. And so here we're going to go ahead and let's just select orange, and then we can go ahead and click on save. So now when I hover over this button, it's going to turn orange. And when it comes to the colors that you choose, just make sure that it doesn't hover red. I mean, pretty much that's the only color that is completely off limits when it comes to a call to action button. But you do want the button colors to be in contrast to everything else that's on the page. So now let's go ahead and set up our subheadline and our headline. So as you can see, we're more than halfway done with the page already. It's very, very quick and easy to put together your squeeze page in MailerLite. So let's go ahead and start writing our text here, and we can come in here and change our text to the same that it has been everywhere else, and we'll go ahead and click on save, and then we'll go ahead and drop in our subheadline. So get the playbook so you can make 2021 your breakout year. I really like using this subheadline. It's lazy copywriting, but it works for pretty much every single niche. You just change out the year and change out whatever you call it. It could be the blueprint, the playbook, the strategy guide to make whatever the year is your breakout year. Now I do want to center this though. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the text and click this drop down again, align and center. And now I'm finally ready for our headline, which we already wrote. So we'll go ahead and just paste in our headline here. This copying and pasting process is one of the reasons we use our sales funnel organizer. It's really easy to put together your funnel when you already have everything laid out in another document. So that's why I recommend checking that out in the link in the description, because it's the exact same way we put together funnels like this. So when we're copying and pasting copy, that's where it is stored. So let's go ahead and fix our headline because it should be a lot bigger than this. So we'll go ahead and of course, first things first, put it aligned center, and then we're going to go ahead and bold it. Now, when it comes to the rest of the text settings, we really want this to be a lot larger. So we're going to come down to text, and of course, we're going to change the font color so it stands out a little more. And let's go ahead and make this one a custom color or blue. So you can go ahead and click on more colors at the bottom here, and then you can pretty much paste in any color code that you want. I'll go ahead and select this bright blue, and then let's go ahead and really up the font size. Let's say we want it at 42 or something. And so one of the things that you're going to have to play with a little bit is how your headline looks, because what you don't want to do, you can see right now, the strategy that allowed me to generate and then days, these are your lines. These are going to change based upon the screen size, right? So when someone's looking at it on a phone, it's going to be different than when someone's looking at it on a desktop or laptop or iPad or whatever the heck they're using, right? So don't hit enter on your headline here to force the one line, a line break. Sorry, there we go. To force a line break. Don't force a line break. So let's go ahead and click on save, and then we can preview and see that it's a little big. It's a little much. It's a little too in your face. So let's go ahead and come back in here, and let's get the text size down a little bit, and we'll drop it down to 37. And of course, you can also play with the line height spacing as well if you don't like how spaced out these lines are. So we'll go ahead and click on save, and then I will save. Now, as a quick aside, you can add a page header or footer, although I don't recommend it. So all you have to do when you're not selecting any elements is under settings. These settings will apply to your entire page. You can go ahead and click on include page header, and then you'll have a header up here. And then you can also create a footer or add a navigation bar. So if we come back up to the top, you can have a notification navigation. You can have a notification bar. Never have a navigation bar on your squeeze pages. So you can put a notification bar up here if you'd like, although I don't recommend using any of these features for a landing page. I'm showing you these because you might want to build other pages in the future, not just landing pages with this, and that might actually be helpful. So let's go ahead and take all of those away, and let's fix the background. So when we click on background, you'll see that there's a content background and then there's a body background. And for some reason, a lot of the landing pages, the body background is some random color, and you just want to turn it to white so that the page looks proper when it loads. Looks proper when it loads. So we'll go ahead and select white here, and then we'll go ahead and click on save. And then we can come over here and edit our success page. Now, this is going to be the page that shows up after someone's entered their name and email. We need to let them know that, hey, your name and email was entered correctly. So let's go ahead and click on actions here and remove all content blocks. Click on remove. And let's go ahead and click on blocks here so we can click and drag in what we need. So on this particular page, we just want to say, hey, thank you, and check your email for the awesome lead magnet that's on its way. So we'll go ahead and add an image here, and we'll add some text twice. So let's go ahead and edit our image, and all you need to do for the image is just put the image of the lead magnet here front and center. So we'll go ahead and click on browse. We will select the lead magnet here, and then of course it's way too big. Now, for some reason, editing this page is a little different than the landing page. So what you'll actually do is when you click on edit, you're going to need to click and drag in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll click and drag this element to make it smaller. So you'll see that there's these little black lines right there because it was too big for the screen. But you'll see these little black lines right here. You can click and drag this up backwards and forwards to make it bigger or smaller. So that's how we made this nice and small. Let's go ahead and add some text and just say, hey, check your email, right? We have something really cool that's on the way. And we'll go ahead and highlight that. And we want, of course, to center it. So we'll center that text, and we can change the text size to something bigger, like 30. To help it stand out, we'll go ahead and change the text color to blue here, and we will bold it so it's really clear. Check your email. And then you can just go ahead and drop in a message here saying, hey, here's the email that you should expect to receive the lead magnet from. And this is very helpful, especially if you get stuck in spam. So someone knows that this is the email that they should search through their inbox. Getting stuck in spam every once in a while, that's completely normal. Just part of email marketing, right? So let's go ahead and edit this, and let's change our font to Open Sans this time. And then we can change the line spacing to normal, so there's not so much space down there. And let's go ahead and bring down the font a little bit, and we'll go ahead and click on save. We can center it, so let's go ahead and center it here. And it's a little too far down, so we'll come up here to top spacing and bottom spacing, and we'll just remove both of those so it doesn't create so much space at the bottom. Now, you'll notice at the bottom of the page right now, there seems to be a gray bar. That's that background that we removed on the landing page, so that's why you always want to remove that. But before we do, let's go ahead and pull up the check email as well. So we'll go ahead and remove the spacing there so that there's not so much space. I would actually probably play with this a little more, but you get the point. You can play with it. So let's go ahead and click on save. We'll go to settings. Let's get rid of that gray bar at the bottom and change the body to white and click on save. And now we can preview everything that we've done. So let's go ahead and click on preview. And we can scroll down here, and you'll see that this is our mobile preview, and then this is our desktop preview. So we'll go through what it actually looks like live in a moment here. So we'll go ahead and exit out of our preview, and then we can click on save and update, and our landing page has been created. Now, if you decide to upgrade in the future, you will be able to choose a custom domain here, and that's what I highly recommend doing, creating a subdomain. And we'll just go ahead and skip that for now and leave it at the default and go ahead and choose our favicon image. So when you are looking at tabs in whatever browser you use, there's always a little icon next to the name of the site. That's what we're going to change here. So go ahead and choose image. I'm going to scroll down. Let's just choose our logo and click on save. And now we have our favicon. So it's just a little thing you can do to make your landing page or squeeze page look a little more professional. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. You have SEO settings, social share. None of these really matter. People aren't going to be sharing your landing page, and you're not going to be ranking with a landing page at all. But what you do care about is the analytics. So you can drop in your Google Analytics code. It's still the UA, not Google Analytics 4 yet. If that made no sense, don't worry about it. It'll be fixed in time. And then the Facebook pixel, you can just drop in your ID. Although I recommend using Tag Manager and going ahead and putting your tag code in the header and the footer, or header and opening of the body tag. What's important with all these tags though, no matter how you decide to install them, is it's per landing page. So every time you make a landing page, you need to make sure you do this. So your tracking's all set up. I won't get too much further into that. So let's go ahead and click on save. We can copy our URL here, and this is what our live squeeze page looks like. Now, obviously we can fix things with the spacing and the font size, and you can go crazy and really spend hours, but we just want to do a quick and dirty. This is how to quickly put together a squeeze page. So with that, you have your squeeze page, and now it's time to actually do something with all of the emails that you're collecting, and that's going to be your rapport sequence. Now, the purpose of your rapport sequence is to ultimately drive traffic to your sales page, your sales message, or book some sales or strategy calls. So when it comes to following this particular strategy, there's 3 things that needs to happen in your rapport sequence in order to drive that action that you're ultimately looking for. You need to empathize with their experiences, you need to energize them to take action, and you need to expand upon the dangers of inaction. And you're going to do this over a simple 5 email sequence. So you can always pause and come back. I'll briefly go through each one of these emails, and then we're just going to dive straight into how to build the automation in MailerLite. Your first email is just going to deliver a link to your lead magnet, and that's it. There's not even going to be any mention of your paid offer, product, or service. Now, the second email is going to be the big roadblock, and this is going to be 2 emails where you empathize with your ideal customer situation. You want to choose one of those roadblocks that you identified during your copywriting exercises, and then talk about how your ideal customer can overcome that. And then the next email is going to be a hero story of success. And so where email number 2 is all about the pain point, the roadblock, number 2 is going to be all about the results and success that can come as a result of blasting through the roadblocks that they have in their way. And then the final 2 emails are going to energize and expand upon the different results and problems that you've been talking about in the first 2 emails. And really the last one, magnify the mess, this is going to be where you're going to actually talk about what happens if they don't take action, because there's always a negative to not doing anything and allowing a problem to get worse. So you don't always just want to talk about, hey, you should do this because you're going to get all these great results. You should also talk about, hey, if you don't do this, not only you're not going to get the results as you're looking for, things could actually get worse, and then it could be harder to get the results you want later on down the road. So I'll link up in the cards in the description to a email video that goes through these much more in depth and actually goes through an example on how you can use story to really magnify the mess, empathize, energize, and expand upon everything that we've talked about here. So with that, we're ready to jump into MailerLite. So we won't get too much into the copywriting here. So what we need to do is tell MailerLite that when people receive our lead magnet, we also want them to receive the next 4 emails. So we've actually already started the setup process. You can see here we've set up the trigger on our landing page. We just need to start sending the emails based upon that trigger. Don't worry, we're going to go step by step. So let's jump back into MailerLite and get this automation going. So we left off at our landing page here. So now what we're going to do is click on automations. So when we click on automations, you'll be able to see all the previous automations you've set up, but here we're going to create a new workflow. So I'll click on create new workflow and I'll give our workflow a name, and it will be the exact same name that we give the landing page and the email group. You can see, just name it the same thing. It's going to be so much easier to remember what goes where. So then we need to select a trigger. And this is telling MailerLite, hey, when this event happens, start sending these emails, or when this event happens, start this workflow. And so the event is going to be when a subscriber joins a group. And so when we click on when a subscriber joins a group, we can go ahead and click our drop-down menu here, and we can see our group F3 YouTube Growth Strategy. So if you remember, when we created our squeeze page, before we started all that designing, we had to tell MailerLite what group we wanted people to be added to. This is that group. So we go ahead and click on that. We'll go ahead and click on save. And now we have a trigger for our entire workflow. So of course we need to deliver the lead magnet. And please don't have alcohol as your lead magnet. It's probably not a good idea. So let's go ahead and click on the plus button here, click on email. And this is telling MailerLite, when someone joins the group, we want you to send this email to them. So let's go ahead and give this email a subject line, like here's your playbook, because we're just delivering our lead magnet. And then to design the actual email content, you'll click on design email. Now you have all of these options. Just go to the legacy text editor here and then paste in your text. You don't need to have any fancy templates here. These types of emails are much more likely, the plain text ones that you're looking at are much more likely to get through the spam filters, because this is what a normal email looks like. I mean, when's the last time your friend sent you a very HTML rich, nice looking email and just to say hi, right? Actually, well, probably never. So let's go ahead and leave the emails as if we were a normal person sending a normal email. Of course, you have some font and size options over here, but I'll let you play with those on your own. Let's go ahead and click on done editing. So when we click on done editing, we now have our initial trigger and we have the email to deliver the lead magnet. So if we jump back over to our diagram here, all we've done is told MailerLite, when someone enters their name and email on our squeeze page, please send them this email and add them to this group. That's all we've done so far. So now what we want to do is start the next 4 emails in the rapport sequence, saying every single day, go ahead and send another email. So that's what we're going to do now. I realize this could be a little confusing. Don't worry, you can always come back and pause. We're going click by click here. It's a long one, right? Hit that, I can't remember, please hit that like button if you're still watching, right? So let's go ahead, click the plus button at the bottom here, and instead of adding an email, we're now going to add a delay. Because after all, we don't want all 5 emails to go out on the same day, right? We want to give people a little bit of space, breathing room, to have time to read the emails, assuming that they're actually opening them, right? So let's go ahead and click on delay, and then we can come over here and set our delay to 1 day. So that means we're going to wait a day before we send the next email. Our little label's just covering up the 1 here. So we'll go ahead and click on save, and now you can see the trigger is to wait 1 day, and we're going to click the plus button again. We're going to select email this time, and then you can just go ahead and drop in whatever the subject line of your next email is and go ahead and click on save. And going back to our diagram here, you're going to do this 4 more times. So you have a total of 5 emails. So your first email was sent here. This is the lead magnet email. And then you want to repeat this up to 4 or 5 more times with the next emails in your rapport building sequence. And so once you've gone delay, email, delay, email, delay, email, well, you probably want to do something with all the people who are left over, right? Because you don't just want to stop sending them emails after 5 or 6 different emails here. So the last thing you want to do in your automation is to add a rule to move them into your general list, right? So right now, they enter their name and email on this landing page, and they've only been receiving emails in this one funnel. Well, you're probably going to want to send emails in the future, and you want to have a list of people who aren't currently going through a funnel. And so that's what this last step in your email automation is going to be. So let's jump back over to MailerLite. Again, you can always come back, realize this is a lot to take in at once, and we're going to click the plus button, assuming that you've done wait, email, wait, email, wait, email, wait, email at least 4 more times. Let's go ahead and click on plus here. I should say 3 more times for a total of 5. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and add a delay, and we're going to say wait 1 day and click on save. And then when we click the plus button again, now we're going to click on action because they've gone through all 5 or 6 of our emails, five of our emails here. And now we want to move them from this sales funnel to just our general broadcast list with whatever email marketing strategy you're working with. So we'll go ahead and click on action. And if you don't already have one, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we have a lot of email marketing videos coming out this year. So let's go ahead and click on select, and then we're going to select copy to group. Now it's important that you copy to group, do not move to group. Why is it so important that you don't move? Well, you want MailerLite to keep a tag of everyone who's gone through this funnel. And so if you click move, that tag's going to go away. And so you want to always know everyone who ever went through this sales funnel. And that way, when you're doing future promotions, let's say you promote the product in this funnel, you promote it again later. Well, you don't want to send that promotion to people who've already gone through it, right? And so you just want to make sure that you copy to your general broadcast list, not move. So we'll go ahead and copy to that group, and we'll select for me, it's just Aspire Entrepreneur, general broadcast list, and then go ahead and click on save. And so now when someone's gone through our funnel, after everything's said and done, we're going to leave that information in MailerLite saying, hey, this person has gone through this funnel, they completed that process, whether or not they bought. And then we're going to copy them over to our general broadcast list, and whatever broadcast emails you send out on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis, whatever you decide to do, you now have a collection of people who aren't currently going through anything. Because the last thing you want to do is just bombard people with emails because they're going through 3 or 4 different sequences. So let's go ahead and turn this on now. And once you've clicked turn on, this means it's live. So now let's go back to our diagram one more time. We are complete, set up, good to go with your email marketing automation. When someone enters their name and email on the landing page, we tag them for a group, YouTube growth strategy. And because they were tagged, that triggers our email autoresponder sequence to start, which is the first trigger, which is send the lead magnet. And then we're going to have 2 to 4 emails go out for a rapport sequence. So that's what 4 and 5 are. And then we're going to wait a day. And once the sequence is all said and done, we'll move them over into our general broadcast list. And that's where your email marketing strategy in general just takes over. And so that's all there is to it, to creating your rapport sequence. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions. Again, we went click by click, so you can always go back through this section. And now it's time to look at the actual sales part of this process. So we've done the analysis, figuring out who our ideal prospect and customers are. We've gone through the attention stages of creating your lead magnet, collecting leads via your landing page, and of course, then following up with those leads via your rapport sequence. So now it's time to talk about where that rapport sequence is sending everyone to, which is going to be your sales page and, of course, eventually your checkout page and product delivery. So let's go ahead, jump right into your sales page. Now, this is an area of the funnel that can take twice as long, well, more like 5 times. I'm going to be realistic here with you. This can take months to create a good sales letter. It really, really does take a really long time. And so I'm going to help you 80-20 the process, because what's most important is you get your funnel done is better than perfect, and just start testing. You can always add on to your sales message later, right? It's not like a YouTube video like this one where you can't go back in a month and fix things. You can always fix things in your funnel. Nothing is set in stone. So let's go ahead and go through what you can do on your sales page, because there's a couple of different types, and there's some types you may have heard of that you should absolutely not do for this type of funnel. So when it comes to your sales page, I recommend doing a quick training or a video sales letter. And these next two, the automated webinar and the live webinar, you should absolutely avoid. They are terrible for your first funnel. They take a really long time to put together. There's a lot of negative connotation around webinars and a lot of niches. And most importantly, it doesn't fit the parameters of creating a free funnel. So if you are interested and you want to try that route in the future, even though I don't recommend it, you can go ahead and check out softwares like Stealth Seminar, EverWebinar, Easy Webinar, and Webinar Ninja. So those are 4 solid webinar options you can look at. They all do cost, so we're not not going to talk about them. But before we dive into how you can create training or video sales letter, let's go ahead and save you some more money and just buy the Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy for everything you need with writing your first couple of sales letters. I would say anywhere from 50 to 60% of the sales copywriting information out there, including a lot that's covered in this video, comes from some of Dan Kennedy's trainings and books. And so instead of spending thousands of dollars on some high-ticket closer course or some fancy copywriting course, just go get this book. It's 13 or 20 bucks, depending upon where you are in the world, and it will give you a complete template for writing your sales letter. And especially if you follow my recommendation of only starting with a $7 to $97 product, then you will be able to make sales using the formulas inside of the copywriting book, and you don't have to become an expert. Amateur copywriting, basic copywriting is more than enough to sell a $7 or a $97 product. If you're trying to put together some crazy mastermind that's $2,000 or $3,000, well, then you're probably not using free software anyway, and hopefully you have the budget to hire some real copywriters. So I'll get off that soapbox, save you some money, skip all those overpriced copywriting courses for now, and let's go into the two ways you can actually put together your sales message. So the first way is creating a specific training. So this is great if you have personal experience with whatever you're selling and you're sharing secrets and insights out of your personal experiences. And so what you could do is create a 5 to 15 minute training that goes really in depth and specific on one aspect of your niche or industry that focuses on helping your ideal prospect achieve a specific result. So it's just like, think of it just like a lead magnet. What are the roadblocks? What are the results? Let's choose one that's really big and zero in on that, and choose one that you can give a big aha moment. That's your goal with this specific training. In 5 to 15 minutes, give your prospects a, oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that. That's all you're going for with this. You don't have to be super in depth. It doesn't need to be super complicated. And by the way, don't worry about giving away information in your course. The whole point is to get to that aha wow moment. So don't hold anything back here. And then in the last 5 minutes of that video, then you can pitch your product or service, and you'll have all of the sales copywriting you need to create a close using a very simple formula that's inside that Ultimate Sales Letter book. You can easily put together the close in less than a few hours. You'll have that last 5 minutes, and then couple that with your secret training, or I should say the training that reveals your secrets. The training itself isn't secret, but this training that reveals the secrets, you have the makings of a great starter sales message. And that's it. I know that doesn't sound complicated. It sounds stupid simple, and that is the point. And then once you've created that video, I recommend trying out creating a full-blown video sales letter. And of course, that book will also help you in writing out a full sales letter, because that takes a really long time to do. So there's a lot of nuances there. So let's go ahead and dive right in to what is your video sales letter page going to look like. Of course, we're still going to be using MailerLite. You can have a countdown timer at the top if you'd like. I recommend skipping the countdown timer though, especially when you're just getting started. One of the things I like about MailerLite is their countdown timer is not fake. So when you put down a countdown timer, it actually will close the page. So if you need the page to close, you have that option. But it's not going to be one of those gimmicky things where it just resets every day, because that's really just pretty much unethical. So all we need is a headline. We're going to have your actual video, and then we'll have a button for people to actually buy, right? So let's go ahead and jump back over to the MailerLite interface and put together your sales page. So starting things off, you'll want to go back to Sites, and you'll click on Create a Landing Page. So MailerLite isn't technically designed to do this. We're hacking it a little bit, but I think they're going to be okay with that. So let's go ahead and give it a name. So I'm going to name it the same thing, F3 YouTube Growth Strategy, and I'm just going to put -sales page. So I know this is the sales page and not the landing page. So we'll go ahead and click on Save and Continue. It'll load a little bit. And then, of course, we could choose what group we want people to be added to, but they're already on our email list, so we don't actually need to collect contact information on this page. However, if you go down and try and hit Save and Continue, you're going to get this notification saying you have to choose a sequence. Now, of course, we don't actually want to add anyone to any email sequence or group because they've already been added to an email sequence, and we're not collecting contact information on this page anyway. So it's okay to just go ahead and scroll down, select the same group that you used for your landing page, and then go ahead and click on save and continue. And that just makes MailerLite happy. But no one's actually going to be added because we're not adding a contact form here. So of course we can go ahead and choose a template, although we're just going to delete everything anyway. So I'll just come down to book and click on select. Then I'll come up here to actions, remove content blocks, remove, go ahead and continue with the remove. And then I'll come over here to blocks and I'll add the elements that we need. So we're going to need text for our headline or subheadline, and then we're going to click on video for our video. Now we're also going to need a button. So we can come all the way down here to buttons and more and just click on buttons because we don't need more. We just need a button. Okay, that's a stupid joke. All right, let's go ahead and edit this. So the first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and use the duplicate function. So we have a text element for a headline and a text element for a subheadline. You definitely don't need anything super fancy here or salesy for that matter. You're just stating what the training is. So for our button, we'll go ahead and scroll down and select it. And then for the button text, we obviously want it to say something like access now, learn more, or enroll now. So we'll go ahead and change this to enroll now. We can come over here to settings and change the spacing so it's not so far down. And then of course we'll change the color because we don't want it to be red. We want green means go. And so we'll just go ahead and select green again. And I'll go ahead and exit out of that. And then let's go ahead and change the font to Open Sans. Of course, we want to make the font bigger so that the button is bigger and it's really clear. Now, you can use custom HTML to have a timing mechanism, especially if you have Vimeo, although I'm not going to go into that, and I definitely don't recommend doing that. Just leave the Enroll Now button there. Your chances are your video is going to be 20 minutes max or less, so it's okay if the Enroll Now button is there the entire time. So now let's go ahead and change our spacing here. And then we'll go ahead and click on the hover and of course change that hover color to, let's just do it orange again. Of course you can play with the colors and find ones that suit your brand best. So we'll go ahead and click on save now. And as you can see, if we go down and hover over the button, Enroll Now turns orange to let someone know that they're hovering over it. So let's go ahead and drop in our sales video. So we'll go over to our video element here, and then we can click on source, and you can see we have YouTube, Vimeo, and Wistia. So something to note, Wistia obviously is something that's paid, and I definitely don't recommend it until you have a lot of traffic because they have some great analytics. But that's not going to matter if you only have a couple hundred or a couple thousand people coming through your funnel. When it comes to your sales message, I highly recommend using Vimeo. Even if you're just using their free plan, there's a lot of limitations. You can use their free plan for videos like this. Now, technically, you can't use their free plan when you are creating courses because you're selling those videos and that's against their terms of service. But for something like this, as far as I've seen and their enforcement, you are safe using Vimeo. So I highly recommend doing that because if you use a YouTube video, you lose a lot of control, especially when someone pauses and a bunch of other suggested videos show up or autoplay is on. So just go ahead and use Vimeo, but you can use an unlisted YouTube video if you want. Do not use a private YouTube video. All right, I'm done. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in a Vimeo link here. So this is just one of our sales videos, and then I'll go ahead and click on save. And next, it's time to enter our subheadline. So this is totally optional. You can have your unique selling proposition or your big idea or something like video marketing secrets revealed or my experience, 2xing my bench press. That was a terrible example. See why I write everything down? Okay, let's just move on. So let's go ahead and edit this text here. We can go ahead and change the size. It might be a little bit big, so we'll go ahead and make it small. We'll italicize it here, and then we'll move on to our headline, and then we'll go ahead and fix things up. So let's go ahead and come up here to our headline, and the headline should just be a name of the training. It shouldn't be a headline like you would use on a landing page or squeeze page. So here it's just going to be the awesome YouTube strategy. Obviously you're going to be much more creative here. So let's go ahead and change it so it is aligned center here, and then of course we will make it a whole lot bigger. We'll make it 30, and let's change the color to blue. So we'll go ahead and change the color to blue. We'll go ahead and bold it. And then we'll go ahead and remove some of the spacing so that it is all nicely clumped together. There's not a whole lot of extra space. And speaking of space, let's go ahead and align the bottom part center here, our subheadline, and then we'll go ahead and click on save. And we should be good to go with the way the page looks, although we do have that part at the bottom where we need to fix that. So let's go ahead and come over here to settings, background, and body of the background, change it to white. Yes, save, and now we can preview. So we'll go ahead and preview. So here's what our page will look like on desktop, and then mobile, it will look about the same. Again, make sure that you never press and don't ever manually press enter on your headlines, because your headlines will not properly automatically format to the smaller phone screens, right? So let's go on and go out of preview mode here, and we'll go ahead and click on save and exit. And the loading screen, I just want to include this here because you're going to deal with it. We all do, but it's still a great software. So let's go ahead and choose our favicon. Of course, you can go ahead and use your subdomain if you did use one. So what's important is, something that is important here is if you used a subdomain with your landing page, use the same one here. It's going to make Google Analytics tracking and conversion tracking and ads tracking a whole lot easier. So let's go ahead and choose our favicon here. We'll go ahead and scroll down, just choose our logo again, and then we are good to go. So we'll come down here, skip the SEO and social share. You really don't want people sharing your sales page. And you can go ahead and drop in your analytics, your Facebook pixel, or of course doing Google Tag Manager, link in the cards in the description to a video on what the heck that is and how it works. Video is probably half as long as this one. So let's go ahead and save and continue. We will copy the URL, and here is our sales page. Again, we're not trying to win any design awards. We're doing all of this for free, and we are just trying to get our funnels off the ground. And of course, the only thing that is going to be a little different here is our Enroll Now button, or I should note, is our Enroll Now button doesn't do anything yet. We need a checkout page. Also, I want to mention that as you go through this process, if we go back, what I recommend doing is copying this link and putting it into a document. So if you're using our sales funnel organizer, which is linked up in the description, you'd go ahead and drop that inside of your organizer. Or if you're using your own system, just save it someplace, because the last thing you want to do is have to come back to MailerLite every time you need one of your links. So save your links in a centralized location. That's why we have the organizer link in the description, or you can use your own system. So let's go ahead now and go back to our funnel diagram and take a look at everything we've accomplished so far. Don't worry, I won't summarize literally everything. Let's just go ahead and go through what we just did. So the sales page that we created that you save in your funnel organizer or someplace else, this URL is what you want to put inside of your email sequences. So all of these actions, send email, they should be linking to the sales page that you just set up. And then that Enroll Now button should link to your checkout, which is the next step in this process, your checkout page. So if you're still with me, go ahead and hit that like button. You are a champion. You're building your funnel. You're making great progress here. So let's go ahead and talk about the checkout page. Now, because we're using free solutions, there's not a whole lot of customization you have here. So that's the downside. But the upside is it's free. So why complain, right? But when it comes to your checkout page, all you're doing is building trust and communicating security. You're saying, hey, you can trust me with your credit card information, and your card information isn't going to get hacked. That's pretty much all you need to do with your checkout page. By the time people are hitting your checkout page, they're pretty much on the cusp of buying it. And there's not a whole lot of salesy stuff you need to add on top of that. In fact, it could actually turn people off. So when it comes to your options, you have three. I almost said two. You have three. So you have Wave Accounting if you're a services-based business. And then you have Teachable or Thinkific if you're delivering digital products in terms of a course or membership website. They both offer free plans. Although as of the recording of this video, Teachable has changed their free plan to limit you to 10 people. So make sure you check out the limitations on the free plans, because they seem to be going back and forth. And as of the recording, Thinkific has responded with a much better free plan. And so we actually went ahead and bought Teachable before they changed their before they got acquired, but make sure that you go back and forth between the two and see which one's going to get you a better deal right now. So if you're doing anything other than digital products, you're going to want to use Wave Accounting, which is what I'll go through now. And if Teachable or Thinkific doesn't work for you for any reason, Wave Accounting is the way to go if it works for you in your country. I know there are a lot of countries that it actually does not work with. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. So you can go ahead and create a free account. Wave Accounting is actually an accounting software. I highly recommend it. It's nice and simple, and free accounting software is great, especially when you compare it to something like FreshBooks or QuickBooks. Pretty much does the same thing for most small businesses. So let's go ahead and jump in. So inside of the dashboard, what you can do is you can click on sales, and then you can click on checkouts. If you don't have that option, reach out to support and ask them, okay? Don't say Jason sent me here and said that you had it, because they have no idea who I am, right? They're a huge company. But you can go ahead and reach out to support and ask them if you can get checkouts enabled for your account if you don't see it. So we'll go and click on checkouts here. You can see I have a couple demos from some other videos. Let's go ahead and create a checkout from scratch. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is go ahead and give your product a name and then put in whatever the price you're going to charge for a product. This will not work for reoccurring payments. People can save their credit card information with Wave, but each transaction has to be manually approved or manually created. So you can go ahead and request a phone number or request an email address. If you are doing anything services related, I recommend at least requesting the phone number, and then everything else you can also request an email address. And then this is the message that's going to pop up. And so what's important to note is this is free, and so the process of delivering whatever it is they've just paid for is manual. There's no free option to connect Wave with anything else, right? So this will allow you to create a 100% free checkout page. So let's go ahead and save and turn on, and we'll copy to clipboard. So copy this URL into your sales funnel organizer or whatever document you decide to use, link in the description to ours. You can go ahead and click on copy to clipboard, and then you can preview it. So this is what the checkout page is going to look like. You can see it's very basic. It also has the option for people to save their credit card information for the future. And of course, because it's free, it says powered by Wave at the bottom. And of course, you can pretty much accept all major credit cards. This does not work with PayPal. I did not include PayPal on purpose here. So if you really like PayPal, then just stick with PayPal. But most of the PayPal solutions actually require you to pay now. So that's why we took it away. So going back to our diagram, we will want to take that link that we just created and put it on our sales page and via that giant Enroll Now button. So let's go ahead, jump back over to MailerLite and do that. So we've copied this to our clipboard and put it in our sales funnel organizer. So now let's go over to MailerLite. We are at our sales page, and we'll go ahead and click on edit here. And once our page has loaded, we'll go ahead and click to edit our Enroll Now button. And under the link, we are going to paste in the URL from Wave Checkout. Now, if you are doing something with Teachable or Thinkific, this is going to be where you put that checkout page URL as well. I recommend you check out Thrivecart for when you do want to use a paid solution. But whatever solution you use, the checkout page URL, that's what goes here. Of course, we're using Wave because we're going 100% free. And so once you paste in that Wave URL, you'll go ahead and click on Save and Update, and then your sales page is good to go. So let's go ahead and jump back to our diagram one more time. So we have set up everything that you need so far to collect payments. And the only thing that's left is actually delivering your product or service. Hit that like button if you are still watching, still with me here. So let's take a super quick deep dive. It's been a long video. A super quick dive into the delivery of your product. Because we've talked about several solutions that you have available to you. And what's most important with your product or service is you don't see it as an afterthought. It's really easy to fumble at this really critical point with your new customers, because after all, you've probably put a lot of time and energy into your product or service. You put a lot of time and energy into putting together this funnel. Both are a lot of work. And there's that small little point of connecting the two that's really, really easy to just put in as an afterthought. So here you want to make sure that, of course, your product transforms lives, because the better your product is, the easier it is going to be to make sales in the future with your future sales funnels. But also make sure that whatever your onboarding process is, however you link your product delivery to your check from your Wave checkout page or your Thinkific or Teachable checkout page, whatever you're using, that there is at least 1 or 2 emails in there for new customers. Even if you have to manually send them out yourself because you don't have an automated solution yet or you're on a tight budget, just do it. I cannot stress enough how important the bridge between the checkout page and the delivery of the product actually is, even if you have to manually send out an email each time you get a new customer. So I'll get off that soapbox. What options do you have when it comes to delivering your product? Well, you have MailerLite, you have Teachable, and you actually have Thinkific as well. So Thinkific and Teachable, those are great for membership sites. They both offer free plans. I already talked about some of the limitations. MailerLite, on the other hand, you can actually create a password protected page. So after you receive a payment from Wave Checkout, you can actually send people an email that has the page URL and the password to that page, and you can put the protected content on there. Now, obviously, you have one password for all of your customers, so there's a lot more room for piracy, but piracy is just going to happen no matter what you do with digital products. Obviously, with services, you're going to want to be sending out emails and starting that services process. So that does it for creating your funnel. Before we go into the final summary, we're on the very, very last home stretch here. What is around the corner? What happens after you've gone through all this process and you're looking at where should I upgrade? Well, I'm here to tell you that the good news is, because you've built everything in MailerLite, assuming you were able to get your account approved, the only upgrades you have is your product delivery and your checkout page. This is actually a summary of what our sales funnel software stacks looks like. And you can actually see we use MailerLite, Google Drive, and Canva and Vimeo throughout the entire sales process. The only paid solution that we wind up using is Thrivecart and then Teachable at the end. Now, we do pay for the premium version of MailerLite, but I just want to show that it's not like you're going to have to go buy a whole new set of software in order to begin scaling your business. You are able to build your funnel for free right now, and then in the future, you can upgrade different parts. And so this is one of our live funnels for our YouTube masterclass, where it goes landing page to a sales page, and the landing page and sales page, all the emails are done inside of MailerLite. Then we have a Thrive checkout, and for you, because you're doing a free plan, you might have a Teachable or Thinkific or Wave checkout, but you just upgrade it in the future. You're just swapping out parts. You don't have to go buy a whole new set of funnel software or a fancy all-in-one solution in order to be successful. You probably know which solutions I'm trying to convince you not to purchase. So thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope you got a tremendous amount of value out of this video and you are confident and ready to start building your first, second, or third funnel. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive, in-depth marketing tutorials just like this one, and some that are a whole lot shorter. And until the next, keep building the business you love.